Hi, this is Cecilia from Tarot by Cecilia, and this is your weekly tarot guidance for the week of March 20th through 26th of 2017. This week, we have the Sun entering Aries, and it's the beginning of our astrological new year. And we also have, on the same day, on the 20th, the vernal equinox, which will begin the season of spring in the northern hemisphere and the season of autumn in the southern hemisphere. And we've been talking about the equinox for a while, right? Yeah, we have indeed. Also, this week, on the 26th, Mercury will enter shadow. So let's keep that in mind because that will be the beginning of our first full Mercury retrograde season of 2017. Now, as for the beginning of the week with the equinox, okay, back on February 26th, we had that solar eclipse in Pisces, and it was the last of the Virgo Pisces series. And at that time, we said, okay, this is an ending of the 2-year cycle with this eclipse. But you didn't quite get to the beginning of the new cycle yet. This week is where it really begins to kick in. And it's the way I can best describe it, how it feels, is like an Indiana Jones movie, where you're there and you know that old building, that old cave, that old way of life, it's about to be gone forever. And do you grab everything and try to hoard everything that should be left behind? You leave it. You take what's important to you, and you get out and you go. That's what this is like. It's like grab your gear. It's time for the next phase. So this is a very interesting week indeed. I had used an analogy for my group on Facebook, showing them the life of Shamar Moore, famous on Criminal Minds. And while some may think, oh, he's a celebrity, he's got nothing wrong, he still has hopes and dreams. He still has things that are happening with him. And, I urge you to check it out because his story so follows the story that we've been telling here. And it comes down to this equinox. It's like equinox to equinox. So we're beginning this whole 6-month journey. And we get to June, things are looking pretty good. Okay? So by the time we get to September, we've realized a dream of some sort. All right? Keep all of that in mind because this is where it begins, is this week. You have a solid base now, and it's definitely becoming more and more secure. Now, we talked in February a great deal about betrayal, things of that nature. Okay? There was always the what to do about it, right? And there would appear to be a particular commitment that is troublesome. And it's one of those things where you've been feeling like you can't get away from that with everything that you've managed to change. And we all know that there is that, breakout energy that's available this month, right? But boy, it's like you want to separate from it and you're really, really trying. This involves getting everything in your life in order. I think I described it in one of the dailies as like you kind of know when you get to this week. All right, this is what I want to do, but what all do I have to do to achieve it? So you may have one goal, you may have 10, but what it shows me here is you taking this very practical, down-to-earth approach to free yourself from the situation. In other words, you can't just say, that's it, I'm done. It involves more than that. In other words, it has to be done right, whatever it is you're doing. And I think my advice in the daily was, like taking that piece of paper, and I compared it to having coffee at a party and realizing that you needed, regular coffee, decaf, water for tea, different types of sweeteners, different types of creamers, the cup, the stir, the lid, whatever it is involved with what you're doing. So you would take the same thing and apply it to your problem that you need to solve, because you don't want, like I said, this has this feeling of it needs to be done like thoroughly and correctly, so that you don't wind up going backwards, because this is all forward motion that's coming in here, and there is a need to do it correctly in order to get the best result. This involves your hopes and dreams, and knowing that you can pursue them now. I don't think you achieve them until, like, you see it happening more from June to September, all right, from the solstice to the equinox. But it's what starts here with this equinox that really gets things going for you, okay? You're working on opening doors. Now, see, it's one thing, there's a saying like, I can't even say it, whatever it is. It's like dream it, live it, breathe it, all those kind of things. You get what I'm saying, but you have to dream it first to, even have a clue. And apparently it is a viable dream, and it brings with it new beginnings. And you're feeling rather victorious about the whole thing. This represents change. There's something exciting about it. It might not be exciting like right this moment, but the idea that you're like, okay, I can do this. I can get this together. I kind of have to decide which route do I want to take, all right? Am I going to go over here and do it this way? Or am I going to go over there and do it that way? So you might be pondering a little bit. It's not like on the 20th you're out of the gate and you know exactly where you're headed. But the fact of the matter is that you are headed in a direction. And many of the things that come up here, they're in multiples of 3 for some reason. We've seen this for a while. I always talk about the energy shifts when the seasons shift. And it is a real and happening thing. There's a reason to celebrate. And it is because the future is ahead of you. It's like you're right there. You know how, like, if you saw someone traveling through the jungle and they're making their way, they're clearing a path, but they're going forward and they're not going in circles. They are making progress. They can't always see where they're going. But 3 months go by, and that brings you to, I think, actually before the solstice, all right? So we're not even going to call it a full 3 months, but I think that's it. It's like when you come out on that clearing and you come out to that whole wide world that's in front of you, like the shoreline opens up and you're like, wow, I'm out of the jungle. I can see now that there is a future. So this is a really, really good thing. And to me, it's, I think that begins around, that late May, early June time. And that you're really seeing by. I know this is a weekly, but this is all here. And I have to talk about it. You have to have a little bit of patience over that next season. All right? And what did I say when I started? This was about like 6 months from equinox to equinox. So you have a little bit of patience with it, but you'll be leaving, I think, many things behind permanently. After that total solar eclipse in Leo on August 21st. And it's a successful thing, all right? So what you're starting now, I think, really culminates for you, like that dream. This is about the pursuit of a dream, and that dream comes true by around the time of the equinox in September. So technically you're charting your course in 3-month phases. This one is the last that I think is not difficult because you are going forward. It's just not going forward with total clarity. There's that need for faith in the universe that you're doing the right thing and you're going the right way. But like I said, that practical approach. If you write down on a piece of paper separately, not separate pieces, but separate lists, each thing that you need to accomplish in your life, and think very, very carefully of every step that needs to be done, you're going to find that it probably takes you those 3 months to accomplish them. But you can get on that path this week, and lo and behold, you will arrive. And that's, it starts again. See, we've been talking since October of 2016 that this was a transitional phase that was going to like drop you off around June, where you're like, oh, okay, now I see where my future's heading and I can get ready for this. Okay, so it doesn't all happen by June, but you're finally in a place where you can recognize it. And I think the best way to explain that is that if you were to go back a couple years, you wouldn't have had a clue what it is that presents itself to you by June. All right? Your thought process would have been totally different, and you wouldn't have been expecting any of this. So, there you have it. This is all about choices. All about choices and transition. So, it's a really wonderful time. It's not, you don't always feel totally grounded as much as you need to be. That part's a little hard. I think there's, the occasional worry. You have a vision for change, but, all right, can I step up? Can I lead the way? Can I find my way? Yes, you can. But you can't be like you're walking on eggshells with things. You can't effect change thinking that the other shoe's going to drop. If you live in that fear, it's just simply not going to happen. What you are in is a very organizational phase, okay? And this is one where, like you've been feeling stuck for so long and you want to be unstuck. So there's that, what do you need to let go of to achieve your happiness? And this is the time frame in which you can do it. It does not appear that you can do it on your own. Somehow there needs to be some form of assistance from others. The whole idea, the plan is yours, what you want to do, but it does not appear that you can carry it all out entirely by yourself. Somehow, some way, you're going to have to go get somebody else to help you. So it's like if you need a divorce, you might have to go get an attorney. If you need to sell your home, you may have to go get a realtor. But you're laying that blueprint, and it's connected directly to that strong foundation that you've put in place for yourself. And this is allowing you to build on it so that over these next 3 months, you are able to work toward happiness. There's an absolute, I want to say, renewal of faith in the universe. This just feels good. Not to me, but to you. It feels good in, the respect that, how like you think like the stars are aligning in your favor finally. You can see it setting things up. Granted, yes, we're still in Venus retrograde. Mercury's going to retrograde. And everything else is going to retrograde. And we'll be talking about those soon. But you will not stay stuck, okay? You are breaking out, achieving your freedom. I still think that it's that whole, equinox to equinox thing, but it's an amazing time. And I think when you look back on it, you're going to be saying, wow, I can't even begin to imagine how all of that came about. So some days, progress is going to feel slow. Other days, information is going to come at you fast and furious. But the most important thing, and I'm a firm believer in this, is that list that you draw up, that to-do list for yourself, of like how you're going to achieve your goals, all right? Because you don't want to lose an inch. Every inch that you gain, you want to keep. So even if you're creeping forward and crawling forward, you're only going forward. That's the bottom line here. You can achieve your wishes, but it's that, again, having the right people helping you and the proper guidance. It's all here. You cannot do this leg of the journey by yourself. And it's interesting when I look at this here now, because so many times when we would look at the guidance, there was always just you trudging along, trying to figure out how to get through it all. So you've reached a major milestone here, and you are, I want to say, really finally at that beginning that came with the new moon in Pisces, okay? I'll tell you what, you're really learning. I do believe that. Learning to navigate so well now. Oh my goodness, so much better. It's that if you had trouble before because there was too much chaos, you're finding that you're going with the flow better. You're sort of juggling your way toward the future, but you're figuring it out because there's that ability to multitask a little bit better because you've got your priorities straight. I really feel like there's a physical to-do list involved with getting this done, because there's that desire not to have any aggravation come back and haunt you. So whatever it is you need to find out, you're going to speak to the proper people. You're going to make the proper plans, okay? And you're creating something here that it's almost like a test of will and a test of skills. And you might even have to acquire some new skills along the way. I think you even learn patience with yourself. You know what matters now. That's important. When it comes to life decisions, sometimes, how do I always say it? When there are issues, and sometimes you have to shelve some of them. But what I see here is that you're finally able to make some decisions regarding some of these. Might not all happen this week, but this is the path that you're taking from this point forward. I really think you see more so, your determination will carry you through to like that May 22nd. I can't wait to see what the cards bring then. All right, but that'll be kind of like that being clear from Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde. And in the meantime, you're just cultivating, You're sowing the seeds for the future. You know how I said back in the beginning about being in that cave or whatever and having to grab things and making that decision to just go. This is about that, like that being able to surmise, all right, because things are ready to go. Where am I going? Yeah, you're going towards your hopes and dreams. That's for sure. And as far as, your power, your clarity, you're beginning to live your truth. There is something in this week that represents, and I do believe it falls in this week, a victory for you. Maybe it's been a long fight to get to it, to achieve it, but you're finally, see, there's a balance thing here, and something in your life has been out of balance, and that's where the struggle's been, is to get it back in line. So I think it starts feeling good that a certain area is getting back in line because it represents the new beginnings that you're headed toward. And I still say 3 months. Okay. Late May, early June, things just are right there. And you're going to find yourself looking at it going, okay, now, you may be taking that list out of your pocket again and going, all right, I've got all this checked off. That leaves me free to go do this. And there you are. So this is the beginning of a process, my friends. It's not just an interesting week, it's an interesting season. And I want you to make the most of it because you have so much potential here. And there is no, believe me when I say this, there is no going backward. There's slow days and there's busy days. And you have to take them all in stride. You will have the effects of Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde coming in. Venus is already retrograde. At the end of this week, Mercury will enter shadow. And for me at that moment, I'll be like, oh, yeah, okay. But you'll know it. And you can act accordingly. You just take your time and keep on going. Because it's here that you do. You will be successful with it. And, what waits for you is abundance and happiness. And I want to see that for every single one of you out there. So I want to thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you here again next week. Take care.